Marco. We love Marco. We have a new super boss, KIZUNA, that is coming. And you know me, when it comes to KIZUNA Clash, we love to run Marco teams. Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped, back for another OPTC video. In today's video, we're diving back into the 10-star event, utilizing Marco and the assist teams to break down each particular variation of the KIZUNA that will be coming in the next couple of days. Now, if you guys haven't checked out my One Team vs. All videos, I'll leave that in a link in the description for you guys. I know a lot of people like to just use those to just build up their levels very, very quickly. But for myself, especially in the early stages, I really like to use Marco teams to get as many assists done as possible. Getting assists done is a crucial component to getting a 1.3 times multiplier when you are doing very high 10-star levels, if you are using potions, because this is a super boss KIZUNA, and this is the best time to actually use them. So your boys got you covered. We're going to use some Marco teams. If you guys want to check out the information, it's on screen for you guys while I've been rambling away in this intro. Hopefully it helps. Shout out to the Twitter for posting it. It definitely helps with team building. Hopefully it's correct. Sometimes it can be off, but in today's video, we're going to be showcasing what each individual stage does and the Marco team that we have ready for it. If you enjoy the video, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. With that said, let's dive in. The first variation is the quick variation, and the team looks a little bit like this. Now, the things we have to build for are driven and cerebrals. However, Marco is neither of those classes. You want to build a fighter team when you are running Marco, and versing quick actually wasn't that challenging. Like I said, driven cerebral get all the good stuff. On stage 2, you have to deal with 3 turns of damage reduction, 3 turns of threshold, 5 turns of damage reduction. The final stage has full immunity. They give you random slots, 1 turn of special reverse, 5 turns of attack down, and there's a barrier for 1 Wano orb for 2 Wano orbs. Sorry. To 2 taps. Wait, what? Right, one turn of the barrier for 2 Wano orbs. That was incredibly challenging to read for some reason. On the level 31 or above, the special reverse is now 2 turns, and the attack down goes to 6 turns, plus they added a 5-turn paralysis. So, to get around this, as you guys can see, we are using Marco as our captain. Marco should be fine to have his cooldowns ready to go by the final stage, provided that we actually use the auto trigger of Marco on the final stage. So that's the idea here, because you need 2 turns of cooldowns, so you're not going to pop the Marco special on turn 1, sorry, the super class on turn 1, no, you don't want to use the super class of Marco on turn 1. You want to use the super class of Marco on turn 2, so you get the auto trigger for the final stage. The auto trigger will give you 2 turns of cooldowns to your crew members, and that way you can actually use the Super Tandem Luffy to give you another turn of cooldown there. If you guys have the Brûlé support, you can easily just put Brûlé on Luffy. That might be something that I need to do, so that way we can actually get the cooldown that way, and then just use one of the super classes. That all depends on... You know what? I'm actually going to do that, just because that depends on the HP of stage 2 anyway. Brûlé giving 2 turns of cooldowns. Luffy then gives 1 turn of cooldown. The super class of Marco gives another turn of cooldown. You're pretty hunky-dory from there on out. For stage 2, we're using Robin and Jinbei. They're going to get around the damage reduction and threshold. And then for the final stage, we have Chopper with the Neko support to get around the 5 turns of paralysis and the 6 turns of attack down. And then we have an attack boost with Marco. We'll have the chain shenanigans of Sanji. We'll have the orb boost of Luffy. And with this team, we not only have a rush, but we also have a super tandem ability as well. So the idea will be to tap Sanji first, and then into something like Chopper or Robin and Jinbei, and then into Luffy. Luffy's going to be hitting very, very hard at that particular point, and we can go from there. Or, because... we are doing chain shenanigans, we can start with Sanji and then hit Marco, and then bring it back to... Actually, no, you can't. You have to hit with Sanji. Never mind. That's basically how it's going to work. Unfortunately, hitting with, what's his name? Marco at the end is a bit of a shame, but look, having that super tandem ability just means Luffy's going to hit 2.5 times harder, so that's always something that you definitely want to see for. To get around the barrier, we have the Whitey Bay support on Marco as well. That's very important, so that way you don't need Wano orbs. To the next variation, it got a lot more challenging to actually build for this one, as Dex and Int characters get their cooldowns, the Psy variation, and that's basically it. The Dex and Int characters get all the good stuff. On stage 2, there is damage reduction for 3 turns and 5 turns of resilience, and then on the final stage, you get unfavorable orbs, there's full immunity, 5 turns of paralysis, which will turn to 6 after level 31, 1 turn of damage null, which goes to 2 turns after level 31, and you can only use 2 specials for 1 turn. After level 31 too, the left-hand column get binded for 8 turns, which will go down to 5 after socket. So, as you can see, we have a lot of supports here. A lot of very interesting supports to get around some particular shenanigans. Now, the upside to running Marco, especially if you're having Limit Break expanded, and I would highly recommend doing that if you guys are looking at building teams like this for 10-star events. The upside to Marco is you don't have to run Dex and in characters or characters that get the cooldowns, because Marco gives so many cooldowns. You get 1 for each Marco as captain, 2 from your sockets, 1 from the ship, 1 from the interrupt by entering the stage, 2 from the super classes, 2 from the auto procs, and then you actually get 1 for killing stage 1, 1 for entering stage 2, and 1 for killing stage 3, finishing you at 13 turns of cooldown. On top of that, Marco can give cooldowns with his special, so you can get more cooldowns for your sailors. So it works very, very nicely to get Marco's special ready to go. However, we do need Marco's special on stage 2 for this team, because we are using the ace support to get around the resilience. And to do that, we're utilizing Robin and Jinbei. Robin and Jinbei actually get cooldowns here, which is awesome, and their special removes damage reduction, and they give 2 turns of cooldown. They can use the Bardo support for paralysis removal. Giving the cooldowns to Marco on stage 2 means that we can use Marco's special to actually get the ace support to proc, so that way we can actually get the burn. But for this team to work, you do need Marco Limit Break expanded, your own Marco Limit Break expanded. Next we have Sanji. Sanji with a Luffy support can remove damage null, and he has a double special activation when you max Limit Break him. We are going to use his special twice, and he gives us a chain boundary as well. Chopper is going to remove the bind, and thanks to the Nami support, we get around another turn of paralysis. And then Kaido is like one of the only characters we can use on this team, besides the treasure map Akainu, that has this particular limit break ability to avoid the special limits. So 2 turns. This is a free-to-play Kaido. You do have Akainu that you can use instead, but Kaido has type advantage here, and he's a powerhouse. The previous treasure map Akainu, not the last one with Flampe, but the one before that, you can use that Akainu with the support of Kizaru. That'll also work, but you will not have nearly as much damage. This team relies on the color affinity of Chopper for 2 units, and then the orb boost of Kaido to hit very hard with his final tap. He does have a final tap ability that gives him base stats, and then he has an orb boost. The back end of chain shenanigans, it should work nicely, but he has the Jack support as well. So this team should work past level 30, but it does get a little bit dicey, and all the Marco teams after level 30 are subject to change, or just change the team, because that's sort of when you want to start doing a little bit more damage. The final variation is the Dex variation, and once again, Marco doesn't get cooldowns, slashes, cerebrals, get all the good stuff, but on stage 2 you get a full board of unfavorable slots. You get 7 turns of Despair, which goes down to 4 after sockets, and 4 turns of special binds. Now, lucky for us, Marco makes int orbs matching for the captain, well, for Psy units, so that way we are going to be able to have some matching orbs in our captains, and that way we can use Rayleigh Gaban to switch to give us a little bit of an attack buff, and then use their special to give us an orb buff and remove the special bind. To get around the Despair, we have the Morley support, we have Whitebeard. It all works out pretty hunky-dory there. But once we hit the final stage, this is where stuff gets spicy. 98 turns of full immunity, full border block orbs, bind on your top left, middle right, bottom left, which will go up to 6 turns after level 31, 5 beforehand. 5 turns of attack down, which would go up to 6 after level 31. 1 turn of damage null after level 31 as well as if you use a orb manipulation special, you then get super block orbs, which is very, very annoying. So, we have Bullet on this particular team. With his level limit break 5, he can get around the damage null. There aren't too many units that can, but if you are using this team up to level 30, you won't have to worry about it after that. If you do change after level 31, but like this team should go from there. Sengoku is basically going to be our unit that covers us for the final stage. He basically does everything that we need to take care of the final stage. So the downside is, after level 31, he also rotates block orbs, so we do need to make sure that we use the Straw Hat Crew special before we actually do that. Now, if you use the super class of Marco on stage 2 instead of stage 1, you will get his attack boost on the final stage, but you won't actually get his chain boost. However, you do get the clock buff, which means you actually get an extra special there. So when you use the Straw Hat Crew special, you actually just give yourself a full board of rainbow orbs, and you lock them as well as extending the buffs. So you aren't going to have to worry about Sengoku's ability to rotate the block orbs. But what you can do is you can just save the superclass of Marco until the final stage, and then you can just pop the superclass. But then you won't have the auto triggers. So you kind of want those auto triggers so that way you can get enough cooldowns. So it's a bit of a shame there because that way we won't have color affinity. But you can just use the kid support or the judge support. Let's just use this kid over here, I guess. Use this kid support there, or you can use the judge support. Anything like that will actually give you color affinity for your strength units as well. So with Bullet, he'll have base stats for himself, you'll have an attack boost, and you'll have an ore boost. You have a very, very little color affinity boost. Very, very little color affinity boost indeed. And this team, it'll struggle, but it'll definitely get you to that, like, around 30 to 40. Somewhere between the 30 and 40 mark anyway. But it's going to wrap up the video. As always, Marco team's done and dusted. They don't really matter too much anymore, especially when Super Boss comes around, because most people are sort of just farming out high navs anyway. Marco teams just tend to be the wave for the non-Super Boss Kizunas, but hey, I thought I would put them out for you guys anyway. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below while you're down there. Belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's